Okay, you've done it. You've actually put your team together in a way that you've got the engagement and the ownership you wanted for the type of change you need for the new year. And everything's going good. But now you're going to be faced with the next challenge, is how you keep the momentum going. And there's one thing that happens everywhere that can just kill the momentum. And that's the natural pressure of the workplace, because under pressure, people go back to their old habits, even though you've developed a new shift in the way you're going to work together. And everybody's bought into it. Everybody's on board with it. But under pressure, they go back to those old habits. So what is it you do? Well, here's the one mistake that a lot of us make as leaders. We try to hold the individuals accountable to the new habits. And now it becomes punishing and becomes a tension between them and us. And in reality, they're getting pressured and pulled off of the intended habit because of a dynamic that's happening to the whole team. So what you need to do is not address it as an individual habit or a habit with the individual, but as a team habit and as one that everybody has shared accountability to holding to, not just hierarchical accountability. So if we get off track, no matter who sees it, they call it, and we have a way of dealing with it in a supportive, effective way. And that's how you start to anchor a new habit, and one that's more productive, and then one that keeps the momentum going. So the first thing is you have to create more clarity around what that habit is as a team. And there's really a few steps to it. The first one is you get a clear intention for what a do different type of habit is, something that's different than before. You take it from the shifts that we created in that instant ownership and engagement process. And if you haven't seen that, look at the blog below and click on the link, because that's the anchor point. So you take one of those shifts to improve on. And then you ask, what's the do differently behavior that we're going to do to work better, to change our habit as a team? Let's take one that happens for a lot of teams, and that's the one where we take too much personal responsibility as an individual and we get into trouble, and it's only at the 11th hour we ask for help. So maybe the intention around that is, if we see that we're getting into trouble or someone else is, and it's going to impact the team hitting its goal, we surface that early and ask for help. So you could just write that down. That's our intention. But again, that's where we get off track. That isn't enough clarity to actually make it a habit. So the second part of that then becomes, you ask the team questions. In fact, just draw a line below it. That's our intention. But what is it? What's the process going to be for doing that? So you may have some steps, like as soon as you see that something's happening where we're not going to meet our goal, or you're not going to be able to do your part, surface it to the team or the person impacted to discuss what you might be able to do differently. And then there are steps. If you can't figure it out, bring it to the manager. If they can't figure it out, we bring it to the team, and then we work on how we'll shift priorities and things and come back. So it could be 4 or 5 different in-order steps the team comes up with. Okay, great. So you've got the intention and you've got those pieces, and we're all saying this is practical and this is different than we've done it before. Then there's 2 more questions to ask, maybe 3. One, is there anything that we need to do differently about doing this that would make it safe for everybody to do this? And that could have to do is, when you come to somebody, don't come in an attacking, blaming mode. Don't wait till the 11th hour. What are some of the behaviors that really show that we're going to be different around this? Then the third piece that you want to do in creating this is ask the question, and this is where we call it proactive recovery. It's like, if we aren't doing this, if we see ourselves not doing it, what do we do then? Or if we see someone that's not doing it, what do we do then? Said, what we do is we bring it to their attention, point out the agreement, ask them what kind of support they need. So that's a way that that we can come and now approach each other in that safe way, and it's everybody's responsibility to do it, not just the leaders. And then finally, people say, well, David, but if we give people that kind of a thing, if they're in trouble, they always ask for help. Isn't that them not being responsible? Well, no, they're not. It's not, because people do get stuck that way, and we can surface it early. And I said, well, what if they do it time after time? Oh, that's great. If that's a concern that comes up on the team, then address it. Ask them, okay, if you were that person that people are sensing you're doing this time after time, how would you like people to approach you to surface that and solve it? And then write that down. And then when everybody's happy with it, that becomes our new habit. And type it up, have it in a place that we can review it from time to time. But what you really want to do at the end is just say, are we in agreement with this? What are we going to do to actually review it? And are people willing to hold each other accountable the way that we've described there? Now that you've got that, you've got a whole new description that's practical, that's usable. And what you do is make sure that you're reviewing it once a month, like what are we doing well and what do we need to improve at? And then just take a couple notes for the improvement over the next couple weeks. You'll find that this now becomes more of the habitual response to pressure rather than the old one. And pretty soon it replaces the old one. And that becomes the key. So there's a lot of dynamics to this. And if you have questions, please contact us, because we just love to put this in place. This is the missing piece that we've seen in many teams' high performance, and it makes all the difference in the world once you get it going. In fact, you don't have to stop at one. You can do many of these different habits, but usually you focus just on one or two of them to get started. So let's get out there, let's do some good work, and see you soon.